Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. As you're aware, I'm sure from all the noise, we've had a lot of activity out at the airport over the 3-week period or so in late September and early October. And so at the same time, there's been a little notification or two about some activities of a business we have at the airport. And so everybody's interested in that, and of course we have the new air park across on the northwest side of the airport that the city has developed. And so we can sort of talk about all of that at one time. And our guest today is Chuck Armstrong, who is with XP Services. XP Services has been at the airport for several years. We don't hear very much about them. And they've just recently announced a teaming arrangement with Sarasota Avionics, and so they're expanding out a little bit in their field, and so we want to hear some about that as well. So before we get into the XP business, Chuck, how about telling the folks a little bit about Chuck?
Well, there's not a whole lot to tell.
Is that right?
My name is Chuck Armstrong, and I'm the Director of Maintenance for XP Services. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee. I currently reside in White County, Tennessee, actually. And I've been in White County on a farm I have for about 30 some odd years. So
You're farming on the side? Yeah.
No, I don't farm on the side. I just have a big yard, basically, but I do make the journey back and forth daily to Tullahoma, and have for several years now. I started off started my aviation career in the U.S. Naval Aviation Program.
Navy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And served in a reconnaissance attack squadron, starting in 1973, and have got out in 78. Continued on and went to college for a year or two, and while doing so I acquired my license, my civilian mechanics license, and started having kids, and that was the end of school. So so I've been in aviation maintenance pretty much all my life, you might want to say, all my adult life.
Yeah, okay. All right, very good. Well, with that, folks, let's take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and find out about XP Services.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do, you know.
Everyday miracles at Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Let the Smokehouse be your mountain getaway destination in beautiful Monteagle, Tennessee. Enjoy our cabins, restaurant, and old general store. Shop thesmokehouse.com, featuring homemade barbecue sauces, jellies, and many other fine Tennessee products. Our live Music on the Mountain series features some of the best local and Nashville talent every Friday and Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. No cover, kids welcome.
We're talking today, folks, with Chuck Armstrong, who is with XP Services at the airport, and we want to find out what XP Services is all about, among other things. So, Chuck, XP Services is not very descriptive. That doesn't tell us much about what's going on. So, what is it?
Well, XP, experimental, X is experimental. So XP is a company that provides experimental flight testing for helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft as well, that are either aircraft that have been modified or new and need initial test flying done or performed, on the aircraft, So that's where the XP comes from, and the company, I think it's been about 6 years in business now, and the last few years we've been fortunate enough to be awarded some nice contracts with Sikorsky Aircraft and with some other companies, overseas companies, and recently been awarded some other contracts. Most of our work is, well, all of our work is aviation, but it's a very diversified business.
Well, you mentioned flight testing, but you're also in the avionics business and have been, I guess, for some time, right?
Yes, sir. We've been doing avionics for some time. XP Services is diversified and becoming more diversified. We are a certified repair station, which and that's simply, we're recognized by the Federal Aviation Administration as being an approved facility, and
they're kind of tough about that too, aren't they? You've got some standards. They have standards that they expect you to live up to.
Absolutely. And the best way I could explain that, most people know what the ISO standards are, ISO 9000 or 9100, things like this, and XP Services pretty much are held to the ISO standards from the FAA. We go through our routine inspections, and fortunately we've held up to their standards.
Good. Well, you've got categorize your business for you. You've mentioned when you and I were talking, we've talked about general services and special services, and now you've just mentioned your repair station. So, what's a general service and a special service?
Well, the core of our business is subcontracting with different companies to perform test flights for various aircraft, and these can primarily are military aircraft for overseas.
Is flight testing really most of your business?
It's the flight testing and developing the aircraft to an airworthiness state is our primary business. We have a team of outstanding test pilots and test flight engineers and mechanics that support it. Again, that is the core of the business, but as a result of that, we've spun off into general aviation and corporate aviation maintenance as well, and avionics as well. And avionics, for those of you out there that aren't familiar with
that is, you're selling and installing avionics?
Right. That's aviation electronics, navigation gear, traffic avoidance, just radars, autopilots, numerous different systems.
Yeah, well, run over that again. I was wondering, what are your products? You mentioned there's the navigation, of course, but what else we
install autopilots. We install collision avoidance systems, terrain avoidance systems.
Collision avoidance, okay.
And terrain avoidance, global positioning systems. We're currently installing several what's known as ADS-B systems, and what that is a new government mandate that has to be met by the year 2020, and that is a improved system that'll have to be on all aircraft that operate in the United States and Canada and Europe, that gives your controllers a better view of you and your position and your altitudes and your directions. So it's a safety measure.
The aviation controllers that are up in the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right, okay.
Those systems we're installing as well. I attended a conference in Dallas about I guess it's 3 months ago, and they mentioned there was roughly 1,000 days left before 2020 arrives, and there's 125,000 airplanes in the United States alone that have not met that mandate. So
there's going to be a little rush business in there somewhere.
Right. And well, what we're trying to get people to do is not wait too long and let it all bottleneck into, because there's not going to be any extensions on it like your tax returns. Come 2000, if you don't have the ADSB system, you'll not be able to fly your airplane in any kind of controlled
that's
atmosphere.
extended a little bit, but that's bound to create a late rush, isn't it? You're going to 2018, you're going to begin to pick up business a little bit.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And we've made all the contingencies and for this as far as equipment is concerned, training to install the systems, and heck, I guess in the last 4 months we've probably installed 5 or 6 of the systems already. So people are starting to.
How long does it take you to install one?
It depends. There are some of the lesser expensive systems that we can do in a day or half a day even, and some of the more complex systems that give you more information in the cockpit sometimes take us up to 3 or 4 days to install. So it just depends on what it is.
So with umpteen thousand airplanes out there, somebody better get started, huh?
I agree.
Are you doing some already? I mean, is it beginning to flow?
Oh yeah, yes sir. We were, like I said, we put in 4 or 5 in the last few months, and we have 2 in the shop right now that we're installing this ADSB system in.
Yeah. Okay.
But what we're finding when people that are coming in and making these upgrades, they're also making additional upgrades to the airplanes while they're in the shop.
Sure.
And so we try to help the customer
get up to date.
And try to stay within their budget and give them what we think is the best advice on what gear that they need. Cater around their flying.
Whatever their mission is, their purpose.
Whether it's a commercial flying or a hard instrument weather flying, or if it's just daylight VFR flying. So it's we don't try to sell a $30,000 system to someone that's just going to fly around the pattern or around the area.
Yeah.
It's just we just don't do that.
Yeah. Well, sure. Needs to be something that meets their needs and their budget.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you mentioned, let's talk about your facilities. You've had this hangar on this side of the airport, on the terminal side, for 5 or 6 years now, I guess,
yes,
right?
Sir. Mm-hmm.
But you're expanding your operation across in you're on the edge of the new business park over there, the air park?
That is correct. We have several hangar spaces already leased for future expansion. We have currently have built up to date 2 hangars, and they are 10,000 square foot hangars with offices on the lower deck and upper mezzanine, and they're very nice hangars. They're very clean, well lit, environmentally controlled, and very well organized. This was one of the things that our owner Rodney Allison insists that our facilities stay squared away, and it stays squared away.
Okay. Well, so your business is growing, has been, obviously, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
especially the last 2.5 years or so, when we took on a contract a few years ago with Sikorsky Aircraft, and they brought in a project, an airplane project. Sikorsky started out in the airplane business, and then moved over into the helicopter business.
Migrated to helicopters.
Sure,
yeah.
back in the 1930s, and stayed in the helicopters. But they actually bought a project from another company up in New York that was making a long-range reconnaissance aircraft for maritime reconnaissance for drugs or illicit ships that might be coming into our waters. And anyway, they hired us to assemble the airplane and fly it. And so we put a team of mechanics and engineers on it, and in less than 90 days we assembled the airplane, and we gave Sikorsky a Christmas present 2 years ago on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve we flew it for them.
Yeah, good.
And they were very happy, and so were we.
Yeah, good.
And,
Okay, we need to take a short commercial break, folks, and we'll come back and go some more.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
You made the time and the sacrifice to broaden their horizons, to see their smiles, but mostly to make lifelong memories. We think it's time to do it again, just the two of you. Don't let illness or injury slow you down. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Chuck Armstrong, who is with XP Services at the airport, and we're finding out what XP in the avionics business is all about. Chuck, let's maybe we could go into your, recently there was an article about your having a teaming arrangement with Sarasota Avionics.
That is correct.
So what's that all about? Tell us about that.
Sarasota Avionics is they're a company in Sarasota and Venice, Florida, and that started out just doing simple installs of GPSs and other navigation equipment and aircraft, and their business, they became a very successful retailer for handheld equipment that you can use in aircraft, as well as aircraft mounted equipment, panel mounted equipment. And since they've started, they've opened up, I think, 3 shops in Brazil. I think they have altogether 4 in Florida, and another facility I think is in Indiana. And they're really nice folks. But we teamed up. They needed a facility that met their standards. They're kind of like us. They have the same standards as far as keeping a place squared away, neat, organized, and do good work. So when they discovered us, we got together and started talking, and it developed into a partnership, limited partnership with them on avionics installs. They needed a facility in this area. So many of their customers come from places like New York or Kansas, Texas, and to stop in Middle Tennessee and get work done instead of going all the way, another 600 or 700 miles.
South Florida.
It's worked out so good for them to have a facility here now, and it's worked out good for us.
Are you already doing some Sarasota work?
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. And so I know they've they're labeled a Garvin dealer. Garvin, of course, has been the GPS business, I guess, as long as we've had GPS, haven't they, for years.
Time,
and
yeah.
They're, I presume, one of the leaders now. And
if I'm not mistaken, Sarasota is the largest Garmin dealership in the world.
Okay.
And we do, like I said, being able to refer their customers into us for other things like S-Tech autopilots that they may put in that may have had trouble with or are still under warranty. You know, again, these people can come to Tullahoma and have this work done. And as a result of that, we've been able to hire additional people to support this venture. And in fact, we hope to have, after our new facility is built, our third hangar, we hope to employ another 4 to 8 people by this time next year. That's our goal.
Okay, good. Well, all right. So that's off and running, and they do. In addition to the GPS, they have other lines of avionics.
Oh yes, sir. Avedon, which is a very popular company in aviation. Bendix King, which is then they have S-Tech autopilots. It's just a multitude of companies that they have. It's that they are service centers for, and we're service centers for those service centers also.
Yeah.
For their service centers. So we do warranty work for them, and as well as installs, and it's a good arrangement.
Yeah.
We don't sell the equipment; they sell the equipment, and we simply install it.
So they're out making the sales and putting the equipment together, and then they send it in to you to install.
That's true.
And test. Yeah.
That's correct. We have we have all the necessary equipment that's needed. XP Services has invested a lot of capital into buying the proper gear that's needed to install this equipment, and there's no cutting corners when it comes to safety. And we have, like I said, a very good team. Not only does XP Services have a good flight team, they have a good maintenance team as well, and a good clerical staff.
Okay. And of course, any of this, we've touched on your flight testing. Anytime you're installing equipment in a plane, then I suppose it needs to be tested before you turn it loose, right? So
yes,
that's part of your flight test.
It is. Now, it's not. I can't really correlate the flight testing with the experimental airplanes that we work with like with Sikorsky or some other company, but as far as general aviation aircraft, yes, they have to be flight tested as well to make sure the navigation systems are set up correctly. And the pilots that do the flight testing for the experimental big airplanes will do our flight testing for our small airplanes as well.
Yeah.
And I might add, we're very proud of our pilots. We have 3 of our pilots have the Distinguished Flying Cross, which we're very proud of those guys. And
yeah.
And the 4th one may have it. I'm not really sure, but I know 3 of them have got it, and we're very proud of them for the service that they've done. And most all of us are veterans are veterans, not all of us, but some of us, and most of us. And we've had some of our technicians were, most all of our technicians were Iraq and Afghan.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, and you can bring those people in after they've been trained by somebody else.
Exactly.
And that's a good deal all around. Well, the facilities that you're building across the way, tell us a little bit more about that. And how do you get to your facility over on the northwest side? They haven't put the road in there yet, have they? So
It's been kind of interesting. To answer your first question, the third hangar that's being built is actually being built by the city of Tullahoma, and it's being financed by 90% of it, or 90% or better. I'm not exactly sure the exact percent, but I know it's 90 or above percent of it is being paid for by the federal government.
There's a federal grant in there
A
somewhere.
federal grant to the state, then the state to. And
Right.
a few years ago, the federal government and the state of Tennessee wanted more hangars built because of so many hangars over the years have become dilapidated, so on and so forth. But anyway, this new hangar's being built, is being financed, is built on a grant, and the city will be paying for the extra whatever percent that they have, to meet the 8% or 9% or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we, our lease, we'll be leasing that hangar. We have a long-term lease on it, and of course that money will be paying back the city their money that they have invested in it.
Okay, but that basically is your hangar anyway. Well, guess what, Chuck? We've run out of time. We're going to have to take a short commercial break, folks, and wrap up.
The Kia Summers on Us sales event is going on right now at Russell Barnett Kia of Tullahoma. Let me tell you about this event. Purchase a new Kia Sedona, Kia Optima, Kia Forte, and receive 0% financing up to 66 months and your first 3 payments for free. For a limited time only, no strings attached. With America's best warranty, the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, Kia is the power to surprise. The Kia Summers on Us sales event going on right now. Why buy anywhere else?
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We've been talking today, folks, with Chuck Armstrong, who is with XP Services at the airport. So we're finding out about flight testing and avionics. Chuck, you got a word you'd like to say to the folks directly?
One thing I would like to say, the folks in Coffee County here in Tullahoma have an airport to be proud of. It's I've worked at a lot of airports over the years, and Tullahoma, I think, tops them all. It's just a good, friendly atmosphere, and it's well maintained, and I don't think you'd ask for much better.
Well, that's good. That's good, and that's probably the reason we had 600 or 700 airplanes in here over the period.
I concur.
Okay, well, Chuck, thanks for taking time to join us.
Thank you.
This is a new activity out there that we don't hear much about. Thank you, folks, for inviting us into your parlor, and we will see you next time.